Caught staring at the alien diplomat, he expected anger but got something else. The unexpected encounter. Reese. Morgan cursed under his breath as he adjusted the malfunctioning atmospheric regulator on the service tray. Of all days for equipment to fail, it had to be during the most important diplomatic reception in human history. The orbital station Concordia hummed with activity as delegates from 17 solar systems mingled in the grand reception hall. "Fix it and stay invisible," his supervisor had ordered. Easy for her to say. She wasn't the one trying to calibrate sensitive equipment while navigating through Earth's political elite and their extraterrestrial counterparts. Reese ducked behind a curved support column, hoping to finish the repairs without drawing attention. That's when he saw her. The Proximan ambassador, Lyra Zev, moved through the crowd with fluid grace. Unlike the other representatives who traveled with entourages, she walked alone. Her skin had a subtle purple luminescence that seemed to pulse gently with her movements. Her fitted diplomatic attire, iridescent fabric that shifted between deep violet and midnight blue, accentuated her tall, slender form. Reese realized he was staring only when she suddenly turned her head, her eyes meeting his across the room. Those eyes, like amethysts with flecks of silver, widened slightly. He froze, tools still in hand. Protocol dictated that station technicians avoid direct interaction with diplomatic personnel. Making eye contact with the representative of humanity's most enigmatic potential allies was definitely against regulations. Reese expected her to signal security or simply ignore him. Instead, she changed course and walked directly toward him. "You appear troubled," she said, her voice melodic with an accent he couldn't place. "Is something wrong with the station?" No, Ambassador," Reese managed, desperately trying to remember proper diplomatic address. "Just a minor atmospheric adjustment. Nothing serious." She tilted her head slightly. "Your heart rate suggests otherwise." Reese swallowed. He'd forgotten that Proximans could detect biorhythms. "It's not the equipment that has me nervous." "Then what?" she asked. The words escaped before he could stop them. "I've never seen anyone like you before." Instead of offense, curiosity flickered across her features. "Interesting. Most humans I've encountered pretend not to notice our differences." She glanced at his identification badge. "Reese Morgan, Technical Division. I should get back to work." He gestured awkwardly with his tools. "Perhaps," she said, "but I find your honesty refreshing in a place filled with carefully constructed facades." She reached into a small pocket and withdrew what looked like a crystalline data chip. "The atmospheric settings in my quarters are uncomfortable. Would you be willing to assist?" Reese hesitated. "That's not really my department. I would prefer someone who speaks plainly," she interrupted. "Tomorrow. 1900 hours." Before he could respond, the station's chief administrator approached. Lyra smoothly placed the chip in his palm and turned away. "Morgan, why are you talking to the Proximan ambassador?" his supervisor hissed, appearing suddenly at his side. Reese closed his fingers around the chip. "Just answering a technical question, ma'am." As he returned to his work, he couldn't help glancing back at Lyra Zev. For just a moment she met his gaze again, and he could have sworn he saw her lips curve into the slightest smile. Whispers in the observatory. Reese paced nervously outside the diplomatic wing, the crystal chip heavy in his pocket. He'd analyzed it thoroughly. It contained specific atmospheric modifications for Proximan physiology, nothing suspicious. Still, visiting an ambassador's quarters alone violated at least 6 station protocols. Instead of entering the residential zone, Reese sent a message to the chip. Observatory. Maintenance level. More private. The observatory sat 1 level below the main deck, rarely used except during astronomical events. When he arrived, the lights were dimmed to simulate night, and the vast dome displayed the glittering expanse of space. "I was beginning to think you wouldn't come." Lyra's voice emerged from the shadows. She stood by the viewing window, her purple skin luminescent against the backdrop of stars. "This is safer," Reese explained, approaching cautiously. "Your atmospheric adjustments are already implemented in your quarters." The chip contained the specifications, she smiled. "That was merely an excuse. I wanted to speak with you." "With me? Why?" "Because you looked at me differently." She moved closer, studying him, not with fear or diplomatic calculation, but with genuine wonder. Reese felt heat rise to his face. "I apologize if I made you uncomfortable." "Quite the opposite." She gestured toward the stars. Do you know which one is Proxima Centauri from here? He pointed to a faint reddish star. There, just over 4 light-years from Earth. So close, yet our peoples know so little about each other. She turned to him. Tell me something true about yourself, Rhys Morgan. The request caught him off guard. I never planned to work on Concordia. I was studying xenobotany when the war orphaned me. The station job provided stability. Her expression softened. The Helios conflict. My people remained neutral, but we monitored its devastation. Your turn, Rhys said. Something true. Lyra hesitated, then spoke quietly. I am the first of my lineage not born into diplomatic service. I chose this path against my family's wishes. They talked for hours beneath the stars. Lyra described the crystal forests of Proxima B, while Rhys spoke of Earth's recovering ecosystems. When their hands accidentally brushed, neither pulled away immediately. We should not be speaking like this, Lyra finally said, though she made no move to leave. No, Rhys agreed, but I'm glad we are. As they parted, Lyra touched his wrist lightly. Same time tomorrow? Rhys nodded, knowing he was stepping into dangerous territory yet unable to refuse. Crisis Protocol. 3 weeks of clandestine meetings had passed when the station alarms blared at 0300 hours. Rhys was jolted from sleep and rushed to his emergency station, heart pounding. The main habitat ring was losing pressure. Sabotage, his supervisor confirmed grimly as technicians scrambled to isolate the damaged sections. Someone deliberately targeted the environmental systems. Rhys's blood ran cold. The diplomatic quarters were in the affected zone. All personnel accounted for? He asked, trying to sound casual. Most delegates evacuated to the secondary hub, but were missing 2, including the Proximan ambassador. Without thinking, Rhys grabbed an emergency kit. I know a maintenance route that might still be accessible. Morgan? Wait for security, his supervisor called. But he was already gone. The service corridor was filling with emergency containment foam, but Rhys pushed through, accessing override codes to open sealed sections. When he reached the diplomatic wing, emergency lighting bathed everything in red. Lyra, he called out, breaking all protocol. He found her trapped in a conference room, a support beam blocking the exit. What shocked him was that she wasn't alone. She was helping an injured Centaurian delegate, her hands pressed against his wound. Rhys, she acknowledged without surprise. The Centaurian representative was attacked. I found him during evacuation. Together they stabilized the injured delegate and navigated the hazardous corridors back to safety. As medical teams took over, security immediately separated them for questioning. Hours later, Rhys was summoned to the commander's office. To his surprise, Lyra was there, standing beside Earth's chief negotiator. Mr. Morgan, the commander began. Ambassador Zev tells me you saved her life and potentially these peace talks. Rhys glanced at Lyra, who remained impassive. She also suggests you might have insights on the sabotage, given your technical expertise. The damage pattern wasn't random, Rhys said carefully. It specifically targeted systems that would affect non-human delegates. Which suggests an anti-alliance faction, Lyra added. The commander nodded grimly. We've intercepted communications indicating more attacks are planned. Ambassador Zev has requested your assignment to her security detail, citing your technical knowledge and unique understanding of Proximan needs. Rhys caught Lyra's subtle look. This was her way of keeping him close. There's more at stake than diplomatic relations, Lyra said quietly. During our evacuation, the Centaurian shared information about a plot involving both human and alien conspirators. The commander's expression hardened. This station represents humanity's future among the stars. I need people I can trust. I'll do whatever's needed. Sir, Rhys replied, knowing that from this moment, everything between him and Lyra would become infinitely more complicated and dangerous. As they left the office, Lyra whispered, Meet me in our place when you can. What I couldn't tell them is that I believe someone very close to the negotiations is orchestrating these attacks. Their fingers brushed momentarily, the contact sending electricity through Rhys's body. Whatever came next, they were in it together. Forbidden connection. The observation deck had become their sanctuary. With Rhys officially assigned to the ambassador's security detail, their meetings were no longer clandestine. But tonight was different. No diplomatic aides, no security monitors, just the 2 of them among the stars. The Centaurian ambassador is recovering well, Lyra said, her voice soft in the dimness. But he remains certain. The conspiracy reaches the highest levels of the Earth delegation. Rhys leaned against the viewport. I've analyzed the sabotage pattern. Whoever did this has access to both human and Proximan technology, which narrows our suspects considerably, Lyra replied, moving closer. Over the past weeks, the space between them had gradually diminished. What began as accidental touches had evolved into lingering gazes and deliberate proximity. Your people's negotiators are pushing for restricted technology sharing, Rhys observed. Is that your position as well? Lyra hesitated. Officially, yes. But personally, her hand found his in the darkness. I believe isolation serves neither of our worlds. Her touch sent warmth cascading through him. When she looked up, the silver flecks in her amethyst eyes seemed to capture the starlight. We shouldn't, Rhys whispered, even as he leaned closer. Many things in this universe should not be, yet are, she replied, her fingers tracing the contour of his face. Their first kiss was tentative, a bridge across worlds. Her lips felt warmer than he expected, with a subtle sweetness reminiscent of starfruit. When they parted, Rhys noticed her skin's purple luminescence had brightened perceptibly. Your skin, he murmured. Fascinated, emotional response, she explained. A vulnerability in her voice he'd never heard before. Impossible to hide among my people. Rhys gently traced the luminescent patterns on her arm. Beautiful. Their second kiss deepened, years of diplomatic barriers crumbling between them. In the privacy of the observatory, they explored each other with reverent curiosity. Human warmth meeting Proximan luminescence. Differences becoming harmonies rather than divisions. Later, as they lay entwined beneath the stars, Lyra placed her palm against his chest. Your heartbeat has synchronized with my bioluminescent pulses, she observed with wonder. The moment of peace shattered when Rhys's communication device chimed urgently. Security breach in the main server hub, he read, jumping to his feet. Someone's accessing classified negotiation data. Lyra's expression hardened from lover back to diplomat. We need to move now. They raced through maintenance tunnels toward the server room, arriving just in time to spot a figure slipping away. Administrator Chen, Rhys identified, stunned to recognize his supervisor's superior. He's headed for the communications array, Lyra said. If he transmits those negotiation parameters, both sides will assume betrayal, Rhys finished. As they pursued Chen through the station's restricted sectors, Rhys realized their relationship had crossed a point of no return. Whatever happened next would forever alter both their worlds and whatever grew between them. New Horizons' blood trickled from the cut above Rhys's eye as he bypassed the locked door to the communications center. Behind him, Lyra maintained a guard position, her diplomatic attire exchanged for a tactical suit that highlighted her athletic form. He's cornered, Rhys said as the final security barrier fell. They entered to find Administrator Chen frantically working at the quantum transmitter, a device powerful enough to send messages across star systems instantly. Step away, Lyra commanded, her voice carrying the full authority of her position. Chen turned, desperation evident in his expression. You don't understand. This alliance cannot happen. Because certain corporations would lose their monopolies, Rhys challenged, inching closer. Or because you're being paid by separatist factions. Because they're not what they seem, Chen shouted, gesturing wildly at Lyra. The Proximans have technology centuries beyond ours. Once the treaty is signed, we become the inferior partners, eventually their subjects. Lyra's expression remained calm. Fear has always been the enemy of progress, Administrator. I've seen the classified Proximan capabilities reports, Chen insisted. Their weapon systems alone are defensive, Lyra interrupted, as are the technology restrictions in our proposal. Both sides fear domination. While she kept Chen distracted, Rhys moved to the transmitter controls, carefully disabling the outgoing connection. It's over, Chen, he said. Security is on their way. The administrator slumped in defeat as station security arrived to take him into custody. In the aftermath, Rhys and Lyra found themselves alone in the communications center. Diplomatic crisis averted, but personal one looming. The summit concludes tomorrow, Lyra said quietly. I returned to Proxima the following day. Reality crashed down on Rhys. Their worlds were literally light years apart. What happens now, he asked. Lyra took his hands in hers. The treaty will include a cultural exchange program. Each world will send representatives to live and work on the other. And you? As the architect of the accord, I should return home. Her luminescence brightened. But I've requested reassignment as the first Proximan ambassador to Earth. Joy surged through Reese, but uncertainty followed. Will your government approve given our involvement? Our relationship is precisely why I was selected, Lyra revealed. The Proximan Council believes genuine connection between our species is essential for lasting peace. And Earth's position? Still being negotiated, she admitted, which is why I need to ask you something important. She reached into a hidden pocket and withdrew a small crystal that pulsed in rhythm with her skin. This is a Proximan soul token, she explained, traditionally exchanged between those forming a life bond. Reese stared at the crystal, understanding its significance. Are you proposing? I'm suggesting a new kind of diplomacy, she said, her voice intimate. One based on genuine understanding rather than strategic advantage. The first official human-Proximan partnership. They'll use us as a symbol, Reese warned. Let them, Lyra challenged. Symbols have power. When Reese accepted the crystal, it warmed in his palm, taking on a subtle glow that matched Lyra's luminescence. The next day, as the treaty was signed, observers noted something unprecedented. The Proximan ambassador stood with her human security advisor, their hands occasionally brushing in what appeared to be more than diplomatic courtesy. 6 months later, when Ambassador Lyra Zev established the first permanent Proximan embassy on Earth, she arrived with her human partner. Their union became the living embodiment of the alliance, not just between worlds but between hearts. Under the same stars that first witnessed their meeting, Reese and Lyra created something neither world had anticipated, a future where differences weren't merely tolerated, but celebrated, where understanding began with a single honest gaze between strangers who saw each other clearly, despite the vast distance of their origins. As night fell over the embassy gardens, their silhouettes merged against the backdrop of Earth's moon and the distant star they both now called home.